Welcome back to the Professor's Lab. I'm Professor V, and this is round 2 of the league tournament that happened at Die Hard Games on November 9th, 2023. If you didn't know, Die Hard League happens every Thursday at 6 p.m. Central at Die Hard Games, featuring casual and tournament play of whatever format anyone wants, really. More info in the description, and check out Pokemon's event locator for more premier events at Die Hard Games such as League Challenges, League Cups, and pre-releases. Please hit that like button right quick, subscribe to this channel, ring the bell for notifications, say what you need to say in the comments, and all that other good free stuff. But anyways, let's get into this game, round 2. Looks like player on the left had a mulligan, or drew a card for mulligan, and it's Mew versus Lost Zone. Can't tell what's in the active, probably a Mew V. Genesect V being put onto the bench here, and Cramomatic being eyeballed here. Cramomatic's an item. You have to discard another item to use it. When you do, flip a coin. If heads, search your deck for a card. It was heads. Guess what card's going to be found here? Depends on what's in hand, but most likely that infamous Battle VIP pass. Our player is going to take some time here on the first deck search to take a look through the deck, see what's in there. Battle VIP pass being found. You can only play it on your first turn. When you do, search your deck for 2 basic Pokemon and put them onto your bench. Second Genesect V and Mew V being found and put onto the bench here. They are going to join the party in getting ready to Fusion Strike system, that powerful Genesect V ability. Player is taking a little time here to look through the deck and the beginning deck searches, see what's in the deck, see what's prized. They could better formulate their game plans after they download as much information as possible. Player's going to shuffle up here, and depends on what's in hand. It looks like there's about 4-ish cards in hand. The Fusion Strike system lets you draw up to however many Fusion Strike Pokemon you have in play. So right now the Fusion Strike system will allow the player to draw up to 4 cards, and yeah, there's way more than 4 cards in that hand. So they're going to either have to thin down or slow down for this turn. Fusion Strike energy being attached to that bench Mew. I think I saw some more energy in that hand. Didn't look like a lot of items, but I didn't get a very good look. Yep, clogged hand, kind of clogged hand, so passes things over to our Lost Zone player. Starting things off with a Comfey flower selecting. Look at the top 2 cards, put one of them in the Lost Zone, and keep the other. Escape Rope hitting the Lost Zone. Sableye hitting the bench. Alright, we got a good game here. Looks like our Lost Zone player is having a slower start, but it's a switch cart being played to move the Comfey to the bench, Sableye to the active spot, protect that Comfey, and gonna swing for 20. I think it's a scratch. Sableye's attached. Something happened. That's, we're putting damage on the board, making things happen, making moves. Double Power Tablet being played here. That adds 30 damage to Fusion Strike Pokemon's attacks. So plus 60 for now. Second Fusion Strike energy being attached to the bench, Mew V, and Boss's Orders bringing up that Comfey, targeting the Lost Zone engine. Mew V coming into the active spot, and we're going to start drawing cards. First Fusion Strike system to draw up to 4. Another Genesect is found and put onto the bench. Another Fusion Strike system up to 5 this time. A Mew V, another Mew V is found and put onto the bench. We have the full 6 Fusion Strike Pokemon in play. Third Fusion Strike system to draw a couple more cards. Looking for that Mew V Max, or a way to find it. I imagine is what our player is doing here, or hunting for here. Alright, was not found, so instead Mew V will take the knockout with the Psychic Leap thanks to the buffs of the Power Tablets, taking out the lone Comfey. Our Lost Zone player starts things off with the Course Experiment here. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck, send 2 of them to the Lost Zone, and keep the other 3. So we're going to send a Cramorant and a Water Energy to the Lost Zone. Keep the other 3 cards. Okay. Nest Ball being played to search the deck for a basic Pokemon and put it on the bench. More Comfey, right? That's the name of the game with these Lost Zone decks. They play the 4 Comfey to accelerate those cards into the Lost Zone and into the hand. 3 cards in the Lost Zone right now. Magic numbers are 4, 7, and 10. We'll talk about them as they become more appropriate or relevant. More relevant. Alright, that Sableye can manually retreat into the Comfey. Comfey uses flower selecting, easily sending that battle VIP pass into the Lost Zone. Water Energy being attached to the to the Sableye on the bench. Switch cart into the Sableye and another scratch for 20 damage. Would like to see that Cramorant in the Lost Zone be attacking here for free for 110 damage, but we'll talk about that another time. Double Turbo Energy being attached to the bench Mew V as play resumes on Mew's side. 70, I believe, is how much Psychic Leap does. So not quite enough to take the KO on the opposing scratching Sableye right now. If I'm thinking of the right numbers. Let's see what our Mew player can put together here. Definitely would like to evolve the active. Ooh, that's just off screen. Palpad being played to cycle back in that boss's orders from the discard pile back into the deck. That boss's orders was pretty big for taking out that Comfey, targeting the Lost Zone engine here. If cards aren't being put into the hand in the Lost Zone deck is not fulfilling its mission, its goal. Definitely cool to see the Lost Zone being represented heavily in the TCG right now. Still looking for that Mew VMAX. Lost City being played. That's very good against this Lost Zone deck, especially when Sableye's in the active spot. Fusion Strike System for 1. Potentially top decking that Featherball. Featherball lets you search the deck for Pokemon of free retreat, and guess who has free retreat? The big giant Mew VMAX. We found it. We got there. The active evolving into that Mew VMAX. Fusion Strike System number 2 for 1. And another Featherball found. Wow. What a series of events we have going on a Thursday night here. Mew VMAX versus Sableye. Scratching. Going for the eyes. Oh, just kidding. Alright, we're probably going to see the Mew with the energy on the bench evolve into that Mew VMAX. And another Fusion Strike System. For 1, Battle VIP Pass, useless at this point. Okay to pitch with the Cramomatics, though. So it makes sense in this Mew deck, like it does in Gardevoir. And any deck. But there's certain decks that put the Battle VIP Pass after turn 1 to use better than others. Avery being played just for the draw 3 effect. Normally, if the opponent had more than 3 Pokemon on the bench, they would discard until they had 3 on the bench. But Mew VMAX gonna take the KO with Max Miracle on the Sableye, sending it to the Lost Zone. It's out of play now. Comfey comes into the active spot and uses flower selecting, sending a Radiant Greninja into the Lost Zone. Most likely in favor to keep that Course Experiment to keep churning through the deck. You gotta do what you gotta do. Course Experiment, sending Mirage Gate and Nest Ball into the Lost Zone, keeping the other cards in hand. 5, 6, 7, 8 cards in the Lost Zone now. Getting closer to that 10. Sableye can use its Lost Mine when there's 10 cards in the Lost Zone, but there's already a Sableye in the Lost Zone thanks to that Lost City. So potentially 1 or 2 left in deck. Nest Ball being played here to search the deck for most likely another Comfey to keep the flower selecting dance going. Just depends on what's in hand and what's in deck, I guess. Prizes could be horrid. But we're still here in this beginning phase of the game, I'd say. Pidgeot V hitting the bench. Forest Seal Stone being attached to the Pidgeot V. Forest Seal Stone being activated. Star Alchemy. V-Star Power Ability. Search the deck for any card. And what was the card? Zamazenta hitting the bench with a metal energy being attached to it and an escape rope being played. Okay, I guess you have to put up the Mew V Max. We'll see though if that escape rope was actually played. Our Mew player could just be thinking very hard about what they want to promote. Yeah, escape rope. The opponent promotes a Pokemon first, a new Pokemon first, and then you do the same. So that Zamazenta most likely going to attack here. Not before Pidgeot V uses its ability. When it's on the bench, you can shuffle it and all cards attached to it back into the deck. So I'm guessing we have a Mirage Gate in hand. Yes, Mirage Gate. You can only play it when there's 7 or more cards in the Lost Zone. When you do, you search your deck for 2 different types of basic energy and attach them to your Pokemon in any way you like. Another Metal and a Psychic gonna go on to this active Zamazenta. Since the opponent took a KO on their turn, Zamazenta's attack is doing 220 damage right now. More than enough to KO this Mew V. So our Mew player deciding they didn't need to soak up that damage and leave it on the board for Sableye to clean up later. Just take the 2 prizes, I guess, for now. Another Sableye hits the bench, speaking of, and Zamazenta takes the KO on the opposing Mew V to even up the prizes here. Mew V Max coming into the active spot. Mew V being put onto the bench. We got the full 6 Fusion Strike Pokemon in play now. And a Cramomatic being played, discarding that Battle VIP pass, flipping that coin, rolling that die, rolling heads. Computer search the deck for any card. What card do I need right now to advance my board? The Lost City's already in play, so that's good. Another Mew VMAX. Maybe Boss's Orders could be good to take the KO on the Comfey. Though if you do, that Zamazenta is ready to do 220 damage again. So I think you want to KO the Zamazenta. Sableye wouldn't be bad to target either with the Boss's Orders, but again, Zamazenta swings for 220 damage. It's the one with all the energy on there. You know, you're removing lots of energy from play if you attack the Zamazenta. So I wonder what our Mew VMAX player is going to grab here with this Cramomatic. Consulting the opponent's discard pile and loss zone, seeing what the opponent might have access to and might do next turn. Consulting their hand and now the deck again, trying to decide what's the best card to grab. Maybe a Forest Seal Stone wouldn't be too bad. If there's nothing immediate that you want to grab, you could at least put it on the board and have it ready to go to grab any other card the next time you need a card. But I don't know, that seems kind of redundant, right? Because you could just draw into the Forest Seal Stones with the Fusion Strike system. Either way, let's see what they grabbed. Maybe just something for next turn if we're not going to see anything slam down. Ultra Ball being played. Discarding Battle VIP Pass and Path to the Peak to search the deck for a Pokemon card. No Pokemon being grabbed here, so just thinning their hand down so they could draw more cards with Fusion Strike system. The hand looks pretty big still, so gonna have to thin down more if they want to draw more. Another Ultra Ball, discarding Alyssa's Sparkle and Meloetta. Gonna fail that Ultra Ball again, just thinning the hand down to draw more cards with Fusion Strike System here. And then one card, two cards in hand. Forest Seal Stone being attached to that. Genesect and Judge being played. That most likely was the card that was grabbed off of the Cramomatic. The Judge. Hand disruption, very effective against Lost Zone decks that like to slowly craft and build their hand to be able to have infinite options. Both players shuffle their hand into their deck and each draw 4 cards. Doesn't really hurt Mew too much because they can continue to draw with Fusion Strike System. Second Forest Seal Stone being attached to the bench, along with a third one. Choice Belt being put onto the Mew VMAX on the bench, and Fusion Strike System. Gonna draw lots of cards, drawing up to 6 here, since there's 6 Fusion Strike Pokemon in play. And Mew VMAX in the active takes the KO on the opposing Zamazenta. I'm not sure how much HP the Zamazenta has, and it has an ability that makes it tankier too. But either way, we could take the KO if it uses that Fusion Strike System attack. We'll just have to see the Mew VMAX hit the bench and another one come up, or the Mew VMAX come back up from the bench to be able to attack again. Mew VMAX deck is ready for this. Our Lost Zone player slams that Roxanne down, the Disruption supporter. When your opponent has 3 or fewer prize cards remaining, you could play that card. Both players shuffle their hand into their deck. The Roxanne player gets 6 cards from the top. The opponent gets 2. So this is the way you disrupt your opponent's hand and leave them with limited resources for their next turn. You just hate to think, though, doing this against a Mew without something like also slamming down a Path to the Peak, they could just draw back up to 6 cards with Fusion Strike System. So potentially not the most disruptive thing in the world for the Mew VMAX player, but you never know. We'll see. Lost Zone player gets 6, Mew player gets 2. There was a supporter per turn. Looking for more Comfey to continue accelerating through the deck. Flower selecting, sending Echoing Horn to the Lost Zone. The Lost Zone is at 10 now. Yep, so we're at the 10, so Sableye can use its Lost Mine attack. Lost Vacuum being played, sending Battle VIP past the Lost Zone to send that Lost City to the Lost Zone. There we go. Psychic Energy being attached to the Sableye. Beach Court coming down, giving Pokemon 1 less retreat cost, so Comfey retreats for free. Into that Sableye. Sableye, Lost Mine. When there's 10 or more cards in the Lost Zone, you put 12 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon in any way you like. So definitely would like to be Lost Mining at this point with something like a Genesect with 2 retreat in the active spot. But since the Roxanne was played, there's really no way to get the a Genesect into the active spot with something like Boss's Orders. This is pre Paradox Rift standard right now, so nothing like Counter Catcher in this Lost Zone deck. Anyways, enough about the future. Back to the present. Our Mew player is going to attach a double Turbo Energy onto the bench, Mew VMAX, so that way it's ready to attack. And Fusion Strike System, drawing up to 6 cards. So we definitely have a KO on the Sableye this turn. So what else can our Mew player do to put themselves in a even better spot? You want to leave the Mew V on the bench, I believe, instead of evolving it, so you have access to Psychic Leap if needed. Lost Vacuum, sending Alyssa's Sparkle to the Lost Zone to send that Beach Court to the Lost Zone, making things a little tougher for the Lost Zone player. And Cramomatic, pitching a Cramomatic, and flipping tails. But at least two cards were thinned to draw more with Fusion Strike system. Nothing much else the Mew player needs here at this point. I don't think a supporter was played, so maybe Boss's orders on the Comfey could be good. Could be strategic, but I think you want to KO this Sableye. It's the thing that's attacking. It's got the energy on it. Maybe hunting for that lost city. If there's another copy in this deck, that would be that would just be like lights out for the Lost Zone player if the second Sableye goes into the Lost Zone. No way to retrieve anything from the Lost Zone yet. But either way, the Mew board looking a lot more commanding than the Lost Zone board here. You got the KO. So our players just deciding if there's anything else that needs to be played this turn. Debating on Chromatic potentially. But yeah, it's like, what else do you need? I think I did see a Boss's orders in hand, but just going to take the KO on this opposing Sableye. Comfey comes into the active spot. Super Rod being played to shuffle back into the deck from the discard a Comfey, a Sableye, and a Psychic Energy. That bench Genesect V, I believe, has 120 damage on it from the last Lost Mine, so if we can get the Sableye and a Psychic Energy and a way to bring it to the active spot, there's a KO on the Genesect on the bench for two more prizes. Either way, Course Experiment going to be played here, looking at the top 5, sending 2 to the Lost Zone and keeping the other 3. Looking for Sableye, Psychic Energy, and Switch card. Super Rod and Metal Energy going into the Lost Zone. Sableye's found and hits the bench. Artisan being played. That stadium lets you search your deck, lets each player search their deck for a basic non-rule box Pokemon and add it to the bench. Second Comfey being debated here and chosen. It joins Sableye on the bench. And can our Lost Zone player even up the prizes here? Flower selecting. Look at the top 2. We need Psychic Energy, Mirage Gate. A Mirage Gate would work. Or Psychic Energy and way to switch. Course Experiment hitting the Lost Zone. Okay, couldn't pitch that energy. Looks like the Mirage Gate is in hand, so that will be played. Searching the deck for 2 different basic energy cards and attaching them to the Pokemon. Psychic probably going to go on the Sableye and something else onto the active so that way it can retreat. Unless there's a switch card in hand, but the Metal Energy gets attached to the active Comfey. So there we go. We got there. And then the Mew player cannot win on their next turn because there's only 1 prize Pokemon in play and they have 2 prize cards remaining. No way to take more than 1 knockout, I don't think. Whoa. Comfey manually retreated into the second Comfey. Second Flower selecting coming down, sending that Manaphy to the Lost Zone. Switch card being played, finally, to switch into that Sableye. Sableye puts enough damage counters on the damage Genesect to take the KO, and the rest to go on to the other Genesect. Looks like 60, potentially 50, something like that. Let me know in the comments how I'm not going to crack down on the math here in the professor's lab this moment. Another Genesect hits the bench on the left side of the field, Lost Vacuum, sending Battle VIP past the Lost Zone to send that Artisan to the Lost Zone, making it even harder to find the other Sableye. Fusion Energy being attached to the bench Mew V. And are we going to start drawing cards here? Debating on playing some cards in the hand first. Stadium coming down. Can't tell what that one is. First Fusion Strike System. Drawing up to 6. And Forest Seal Stone, V-Star Power, Star Alchemy being activated here to search the deck for a card. And it looks like it was that Roxanne. Ouch. Very effective against these Lost Zone decks are the Disruption supporters, Disruption cards. As you see, Lost Zone likes to accumulate a big hand size with lots and lots of options to execute the best game plan on their turn, and that just all gets taken away with Roxanne. Of course, Experiment hit the Lost Zone earlier too, so even less supporter draw cards. Lost Zone player gets 2 off of the Roxanne player gets 6. And finally, Mew VMAX takes the KO on the opposing Sableye with Max Miracle from the bench. Mew VMAX. Comfey promoted to the active spot, using its flower selecting ability to send a fellow Comfey into the Lost Zone. Pokestop being played, you put the top 3 cards of your deck into the discard pile. Then of those 3, if any of them are item cards, you could put them back into your hand. Forest Seal Stone is not an item anymore. It's a tool, its own classification of trainer cards. So it stays in the discard pile along with the Water Energy, and the useless Battle VIP pass goes into the hand. Kyogre coming down. Oh, here we go. But no way to utilize it. That would have been good if the deck was a lot thinner for the Lost Zone player, and if they had the correct combination of cards in hand. But the Forest Seal Stone, Battle VIP Pass, and Energy Recycler are not enough to get that Kyogre attacking for 250 damage 2 places on the opponent's side of the field. So it looks like our Mew VMAX player takes down round 2. Good game, good game. What do you guys think of this video and the commentary? Please let me know in the comments. Like this video, subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time in the Professor's Lab.